The following is a paid commercial program paid for by the Dillon Gage Wealth Management Companies and does not reflect the opinions or advice of KRLD or CBS Radio.
Welcome to the Common Sense Investing, or CSI show, with Victor McClure and Guy Allard from the Dillon Gage Wealth Management Companies. For the next hour, Victor and Guy will answer your financial questions with their own brand of plain-spoken language and hard-hitting style. If you've got financial questions, they've got answers.
Welcome to the Common Sense Investing Show. I'm Victor McClure. I'm your host and the president of the Dillon Gage Wealth Management Companies. My co-host, Guy Allard. How you doing, Guy?
What's going on? What a beautiful day it is. Woohoo!
We've got great news. Let me tell you what, give you a little bit of beforehand. Dillon Gage moved to Addison in the 80s. At the time, Addison was where all the growth was. This is the northernmost edge of Dallas.
Solly's Barbecue is up here,
That's right.
whole thing.
Everything. I remember my dad back in the 70s did with Dillon Gage, and at that time they're over on Spring Valley in Midway.
Yeah.
And my dad explained that they have built an office in the middle of nowhere. No one will ever live that far. I don't know what these idiots are doing. That's what
Beltline was the edge of the world.
That's right. There's nothing there.
North. Yeah.
A neighbor of mine, his dad used to own a lumber yard right there on Beltline in the toll, believe it or not. It was a lumber yard.
So are we moving to Salina?
No. So what we've done is we did that, so now we are moving to the Star in Frisco. So that will be a good place. That is where the growth is now.
Yep.
If you haven't seen part of the, $5 billion mile, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, it's a great facility. I tell you now, not only will our clients and potential clients have the two top advisors on the planet,
That's
but
right.
it'll be an event for them to come visit.
right.
We can take them on tours.
That's right.
The
If you
whole
haven't
9
seen
yards.
this place, it's pretty impressive. We're in the actual building with the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, the whole right there, and they built a $1.5 billion, almost like an entertainment facility, right?
Yep.
It's got thousands of square feet of retail, thousands of square feet of restaurants, tons of things you can do, and on top of that, there's other developers building more of the same around it. Okay, it's kind of like, legacy shops. Have you seen the West and East? It's kind of like that. It's a huge development. They're putting condos in, everything else. So I think it's going to be pretty impressive. And it is nice that, when our clients come see us, that they can kind of make a day of it.
And it's a difficult decision, but as you grow and you need to expand, you need to do these things. You said you were starting out to say that Dillon Gage has been here in Addison since, the late 80s?
Oh, yeah.
You started here in 90?
1990, yep.
I started first in 95.
Yep.
It's hard. You've got roots. You've got, the area. You've got as we get older, right? You've got a routine. You know which ways to go when there's an accident on the freeway. All of that's out the window now.
I think my car will come here on accident anyway. It's been coming here for 30 years,
Like
I
an
know
old
it.
horse, right?
But the one thing I forgot is, I've moved homes 2 or 3 times in the last 20, 30 years.
Not fun.
And it's terrible, awful. Well, moving an office is 1,000 times worse. You totally forget and take for granted your phone system, firewalls, all the different things that I've had in place for years.
Right.
That we did one at a time over the years, having to do it all at once. And of course, when you're talking about like furniture, this furniture I've been dealing with for 30 years, that can't be good enough for the new office.
Oh, no, tell them about those nice new locks you put on the doors in the office.
Oh, yeah.
You won't believe this.
I could show you what a $600 door lock
And it's
looks like.
It's not plated in gold. If you want a lock on your door, that's an additional $600. I'd like to see the math on that.
I think I need to get in the lock making business.
That or manage their money, because apparently they got a lot of it.
Everything is actually, it's a first-class operation. Everybody I've dealt with then has been more professional than I've ever dealt with anybody.
Clients,
it really is.
All of our clients and potential clients will be greeted with a concierge when they come in.
And so the only thing is the first couple months we're there, we're supposed to move there the week, like May 15th to 20th, somewhere in there's our move-in date.
So that's June 1st, right? Translation?
Probably, yeah. Knowing construction, that's probably it, right?
Hope.
But we're moving in there then is there's still going to be construction there around the Star. And so there's still parking. You park in the
Plenty of
parking
parking.
garage.
Way better than parking here. That's one of the
That's right.
benefits.
And so the growth is there, and that's why we're moving there. It's hard for me because I've been here for a long, long time. The other change is, since we're moving out of the Dillon Gage offices, we've been forever, our name is going to change to McClure Capital. Same exact company, same tax ID number, same everything. All we do is change the name.
That's right.
And
why do we do that?
I know. Think about it. Changing names on every bank account corporately that I have.
Stationery, addresses, everything.
Oh, yeah. Of course, I just bought these pocket folders. I spent about $5 a piece. They're embossed, they got foiling, whatever this printer told me. All kinds of pretty stuff. And I've got 30 boxes of it in my closet that just get thrown away. Got to do all of that stuff. At the very least, the address is wrong on everything, right?
Can we fire the person that ordered those?
Yeah, it was me. That's the problem.
They over-ordered. Damn it.
But there's tons of stuff like you just forget. You forget a new building, new, phone system, new internet thing. It's got to have Cat 6, so you can't have that terrible Cat 5 wiring. Oh, you've got to have a voice over internet Ethernet. You got to have more power per stick. I know more about switches and crap like that than I ever should know.
But the short story long, as we always do, we're real excited about the move. We're real excited to have our clients and potential clients come up and visit. We've talked about it before. Victor and I both, from a Dallas magazine, on separate occasions, have won 5 stars for customer service. And we just want you and our clients out there to know that will only continue, get stronger. We'd like to make it an event for you. And I'd love to have you come visit.
It's just nice. I mean, going to your financial advisor isn't like going to the dentist. But it's nice. Hey, you can do other things. Hey, I can take a tour. I can see you just come in our lobby, and you got the 5 Super Bowl trophies right there.
That's right.
Don't try to touch them, though. I think a SWAT team comes out of the ceiling.
Drop down, repel from the ceiling.
I'm like, they're just sitting there.
That's right.
I saw one person beelining towards them. Boy, the security guys came out. I was like, oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like you're just sitting there. I'm like, maybe I can take one home. No, you cannot. Be very careful. A lot of security there. Somebody told me, I said, I think maybe too much security around here. He goes, sometimes sports fans can get a little overzealous. I go, I guess so, yeah.
It's kind of neat if you come during preseason or during the season. Of course, the practice field is out there, and then there's a building just off of the practice field that's got like a roof, a 1-story roof terrace with AstroTurf on it. And we were told as we were touring the offices last week, well, that's where the running backs practice.
That's right.
So it's kind of cool.
Now, I just remembered. I don't remember because I've known you for 30 years. That you are not from Texas. You're from like Chicago or something.
That's right.
'Cause you said roof.
I was born in Chicago, raised in a little town in Missouri.
In Texas, we say roof, not rough.
Rough?
And we say concrete. I'm born and raised here. Actually, I was born in Oklahoma City, moved here when I was 1. So I guess I got here as soon as I could, right?
That's right.
My whole family's from actually Greenville, Texas. And so he was up there, believe it or not, on a sales job. I think he was selling lingerie door to door. Now, do you think that would work today?
There it is.
Can you imagine?
There's that line.
Can you imagine?
No.
that they sold lingerie door to door? That still kills me thinking about it. I'm like, really?
You look about the progression. You went from door to door to retail outlets. Now retail's closing for the most part, and it's all online. It's all digital.
Well, think about everything had to be a mall. Now everything's going away from a mall. You get the same stores, but they're out on their own, where you can just walk in from the
Boy, if you live long enough, you see crazy, all sorts of things, don't you?
I know. Think of what we've seen, the invention of the calculator, the computer, all of those different kind of things. Let's talk about the market a little bit before the break, and we'll talk about more afterward. The market's kind of choppy. It's going back and forth. You have 100-point up days, 100-point down days.
200-point up days?
Yeah.
That's right.
A lot of it's the growing anxiety we have about economic growth, the geopolitical worries. Unless you've lived under a rock, you've heard about the Iran rhetoric and the North Korea, Syria goes on. And all that stuff. Like Syria, I don't think bothers people as much because they really can't do much unless you get it with Russia, and they can, right? Then when you start getting North Korea saying that they got nukes and they're 30 miles from Seoul and then right across from Japan, I guess,
Yeah, just crazy world.
It makes it worried. And the market has got a lot of things factored in. That's what come from when Trump got elected. It's gone up quite a bit, 13, 15% or whatever. And it's factored in, okay, He's going to get this health thing done. We're going to save taxes. We're going to get budgets.
Corporate taxes.
Well, now we're starting to realize it's not that easy. You still got to get all of the Republicans on board. And a lot of times you got to get some of the Democrats. Now, nowadays, that's virtually impossible.
No, we've talked about it before. The PE for the market, the price to earnings, what the real value is if you're into basic value, supply and demand, is way out of kilter right now. So what is everything? Why is it going up? It's all rumors. It's all promises. It's expectations.
Tax cuts help companies. Therefore, the price can go up. Somebody asked me about the PE ratio, what that really means. I'll give you an analogy after the break. But it's an interesting take on it anyway. Remember, if you have any financial questions, you'd like to take advantage of our no-cost, no-obligation written retirement plan or Social Security Optimizer, don't hesitate to call our hotline at 972-715-2424. 972-715-2424. Go to ilovemyretirement.com. Stay with us, folks. You're listening to the Common Sense Investing Show on News Radio 1080 KRLD.
Welcome to the Common Sense Investing Show, where your investment strategy is based on common sense instead of some sales pitch. Here's Victor McClure and Guy Allard.
Welcome back to the show. Right before the break, we were talking about PE ratio, or price-earnings ratio. And a client, I couldn't remember if it was a client or one of our listeners called me, and they were asking me questions about it. What does that really mean? Obviously, it's the price of your stock versus how much outstanding shares you have. Now, you can be increased by releasing more outstanding shares, right? Or having your price go up, okay? What you could look at this, think about if you were going to buy a business. You're going to buy a business, and you're saying, okay, this thing earns $1 million a year. Well, how many years worth would you like to pay for that? In other words, like I'll give you 5 years up front for your $1 million business, right?
5-year payout.
Right. Well, what it means now with the P ratio of 27 takes 27 years to get your money back.
Of earnings.
That's right. Now, what they're factoring into a lot of these purchases are, we think we're going to grow it and blah, 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 so maybe it's only 10 years instead of 27.
And they have trailing earnings and all sorts of stuff.
But think about that. Just think about it. Would you buy a business that on paper takes you 27 years to get your money back? 27.
Yeah. And in theory, every 27 years, you would double your money. Now, keep in mind, 7% interest doubles your money in 10.
Right.
So 27 is like 2.
What I was thinking is this. The reason why the conversation came up, we're talking about Tesla. You know, Tesla is now valued more, I think, than General Motors.
It passed
right?
General Motors. That's right.
To me, this reminds me when Yahoo was 5 times worth more than General Motors back in the 90s. That's before they needed a bailout and all that. They were the biggest company on the planet or whatever. And I'm like, now how can Yahoo, with no assets, losing $600 million a year, be worth to somebody with billions of dollars in assets?
Remember Amazon, same thing, magnified, and then they got government help and subsidies because of that issue. That's another. Don't get me started on that.
Well, that's when you were seeing PE ratios of 1,000.
Yeah,
of
that's
800.
Right.
Now,
That's
think
right.
about that. Would you buy something that took 800 years to get your money back?
No, but I'm going to share with our listeners. Listen very closely. Turn up your radio. That is the time to sell. Right? Am I right?
But that's how, since they're losing money, I've read where Tesla loses money on every single car they make. Every single one. It's people valuing it based on what they think the future will hold.
Kind of like the market right now.
Right.
Their batteries, their
piece.
solar business. It's more than just the cars.
Because you just told me it would be ridiculous to buy a company with 800 PE. In other words, take 800 years to get your money back. But think about negative PE. That's worse than a 10,000 year. It's less.
Right.
You have to factor in the growth, and they do when they're valuing these things. But when you bring it down to that kind of component, anybody that really has a brain think, hey, 30 to 1 is kind of high for a PE ratio, or 27, whatever. It was back and forth, 25 to 28. That's kind of high. And so there's only 2 things that happen when you have a high PE ratio. Either the earnings come up to make that valuation valid, or the price has to come down.
And I'd like to interject if I could. You've heard Victor and I every week. We talk about our financial analysis that we do for our clients and our potential clients. It shows you how much money you'll have at what point in your life. if your 401ks and you're in your 50s, early 60s have grown to a point, which they probably have with all the growth in the market and with the Trump effect and all of that, now is a great time to put that in a software program, see how it would do. Is it appropriate for you to take some off and take advantage of this Trump rally and lock in an additional pension to take care of your earnings, or do you not need it? Is it better where it is? All of those questions are pretty easy for us to answer. It's just numbers, as Victor always says.
And you can decide whether to do it or not to do it. But I'm telling you, it's one of the hardest things we have to deal with is getting people when the things are good. This is the time.
Yep.
It's not after it just crashed 50%, even though 90% of people, that's what they do. They wait till the crash before they actually do something when it could have it takes twice as much money now.
And think about the show. This is the common sense show. It makes common sense because your allocations, you need so much in certain areas for your age, right? Well, with the market growth, that sliver in the market has grown. It's a perfect time to trim it down, take care of some pension needs that you may have in the future. But you don't know what your pension needs are unless you sit down, find out what your expenses are going to be in retirement, what's your Social Security, any other pensions that you have, what do you need in retirement? And these are the questions it answers.
You can use a gambling analogy. It's different.
That's right.
Now. Look at, what about this? Let's say you put it on red, right, and you won.
50-50 shot.
That's right. Red, you won again. I'll use it like 2 years, but 2 times, right? Red again, 3 times. Does it make sense that every time you win that year, take a little off the table to either create a pension or to guarantee my retirement, whatever you want to do, and then keep going? So basically, you're playing on the house money after just a couple of years, and let that keep going. Or does it matter to go that 9th time? Because that's what we're going on. This is 9 years. There's never been a time in 100 years the market went up 9 years in a row. Does it make sense to keep it on there right there on red again?
Even if you lost, and you wouldn't lose all your money, you only lost 30% of what you put up.
Right.
Does it make sense to keep doing it?
That's right. I remember a friend of mine, great guy, Scotty. We're actually in Vegas. I remember it. And he said, "Oh my gosh, Victor, I'm putting all my money on red." And I go, "Why?" Because it's hit black 10 times in a row.
You can't hit red.
There's no way.
You
He
can't
goes,
hit black.
"What are the odds, Victor?" And I go, 50-50.
That's right.
And he goes, "No way." I go, "It's 50. I don't care if it's run 100 times in a row. It's still 50-50. But I know that's a ridiculous analogy, but it's similar. This is what we're talking about. The market can't go up forever. It will go down. Now is the time to start considering those things. Don't hesitate to call us. We'll be more than happy to go over an analysis with you and show you if you do nothing, if it stays like this, here's the outcome. If it doesn't, here's the outcome. Here's changes you can make, and then you make the decision if it's right for you. 972-715-2424. Again, 972-715-2424. You can always go to our website, ilovemyretirement.com. Stay with us, folks. You're listening to the Common Sense Investing Show on News Radio 1080 KRLD.
Welcome back to the Common Sense Investing Show, hosted by the kings of common sense, Victor McClure and Guy Allard.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Remember, we are moving since I've been here since 1990.
Yay!
In Addison on the tollway. We're just moving it seems far. It's just a few miles up the street on the tollway. But we're moving to the Star. We'll be housing with the Dallas Cowboys, my favorite team since I was, when I was in first grade. My mother had pictures of me drawing pictures, like drawings of the Dallas Cowboys. I have fond memories. We go to my grandma's every Sunday and every Easter and every holiday. Big, huge Cowboy fans. That's when the 20 of us, because it was a grandma's house, everybody came, right?
Right.
We'd be crowded around a 12-inch television. And if you got too close, the dang rabbit ears had to be messed up.
Did you have aluminum foil on the rabbit ears? Oh, yeah.
And you saw the picture, and it was all a little grainy, like, oh, come on, quit moving around.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Space Command.
At our house, we had one of those giant things. It was a giant console where you lift up part of it as a record player.
Sure.
Has speakers on the side. It was a giant thing for what I thought at the time was a giant television. I look back, it was about 20 inches. But the case was 8 feet long, 4 feet high to have this little 20-inch television. So you kids out there don't know how lucky it is. And to me, it still amazes me, HD.
Oh, you have gotten old, Victor.
I'm sitting there going, wow, look at this thing. This is amazing. Now I've got like a media room with a giant screen. I'm like, look how perfect it is. So those are the memories I've got. So we're real excited about this move. People can come to us. We can look at your finances. You can take a tour of the facility. There's supposed to be tens of thousands of square feet of retail space and tens of thousands of square feet of restaurants. Plus, there's another $1 billion development around it. To show you how neat this place is remember the stadium? Jerry World was like one of the biggest things in history.
And most
$1 billion.
expensive. Yep, that's right.
Well, the practice area, the one where we're officing at now, was $1.5 billion. So think about that. I don't know any stadiums being built now for $1.5 billion, but this is a practice facility. That's how nice this is. So you'll really enjoy it. So don't worry if our bumpers for the radio show will change to our new name, McClure Capital, soon. It's just because we're not in the Dillon Gage offices anymore.
Moving and expanding is a good thing.
That's right. Everything's exactly the same. All we did is change the name, tax ID numbers, all the corporation, all of our licenses, registrations, all the exact same. So your same great service, same great people. We're going to step up the service, actually, when we move there.
Two top advisors on the planet, yes.
That's right.
That's
Both
right.
of us have 30 years each. This is my 30th year. I think it's like your 34th because you're way, way older than
That's
that.
right. Stop that.
All right. Let's talk about,
Are we through with the PE? Did we?
I think we
finish
got
that?
the PE ratio. Just
All right.
think of it as how many years it would take you to buy something back if they didn't grow. With growth, you have to reduce that. But that's why if it took me 30 years to recoup my money, why the heck would I buy a business? Why the heck would you buy a stock? It's the same thing. I understand it's kind of removed from people because they don't think about it. It's just an in and out stock. It's not a business. But it is a business. You're just buying into it.
Yeah, and from that point, we kind of springboarded off of that and said it may be a good time to sell or readjust or maybe take a look at your pension or take a hard look at what you need in retirement, especially if you're in your 50s. Absolutely, if you're in your 60s.
Oh, absolutely. It's never too late and never too early to look at your finances to make sure you've got a plan going forward, and a written plan, not some BS some broker gave you that says, hey, if you stay in this fund, you'll never go broke. They just told you as long as the market makes 8-10% a year till you die, you won't go broke.
Yeah, and that's
you need a real plan.
That's usually after a 45-minute meeting or two.
That's right. 972-715-2424 or go to ilovemyretirement.com. Let's talk about the tax things that are floating around there. They're talking about eliminating the home mortgage interest deduction.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
I think that one's not very popular.
No.
Even though I don't get to use it.
That's right. I forgot about that.
You got the AMT. I've been subject to AMT for alternative minimum tax.
But that's not a bad number either, though, when you really look at it.
No, it stinks. It means I don't get right off my 500 kids.
That's right.
All my deductions go away. Doesn't matter if I have interest on mortgage interest, taxes. Oh, boy. But it does a big deal for most people.
That's right.
That's one of their floating up, and they're serious about it. This isn't just a thing they're floating up. Also, it doesn't affect us here in Texas.
State income tax?
State income tax deduction. What happens is everybody says, I used to live in California when I was in the military. I got a lot of my friends from the military stayed in California. And they say, you don't understand. I go, the taxes are terrible there. No, but you write off those extra taxes off your federal income tax bill, so they're not paying anymore.
Which reminds me of a question. If they're disallowed to write off their state income tax, write off their federal returns, what is our state income tax? It's a 6 1/4. Most cities or municipalities can add 2%, so we normally pay 8 1/4, right? And if you have enough of it and you itemize and you got the credit card thing going, you get to write that off. They may stop that too.
They could. And the thing about it, like property taxes are a lot less in most other states. Our property taxes are some of the highest, and our sales tax some of the highest.
Yep.
So that kind of is in place of a state tax. So remember, you can now write off your sales tax deduction if you don't have a state tax. So that would be another one removed that would affect us here. Well, we got to break them up, folks. Stay with us. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any questions. 972-715-2424. You're listening to the Common Sense Investing Show on News Radio 1080 KRLD.
Welcome to the Common Sense Investing Show, where your investment strategy is based on common sense instead of some sales pitch. Here's Victor McClure and Guy Allard.
Welcome back to the show. For our next segment, I'm going to talk about something that required minimum distributions, or RMDs. RMDs, this is the government's attempt to get the tax money that you never gave them. All those years you're putting in your 401k.
They want
IRAs.
their taxes.
Because if they didn't do this and you died and keep dropping it down to heirs, they would never get taxed on this money. They've also talked about eliminating that as one of their tax things too.
Eliminating
deductibility of 401k contributions, IRA contributions.
Oh, that's nice.
Eliminating the state and
so not
sales
only
tax.
they're going to probably means test or mess up the Social Security, but now you can't contribute to your own and get a tax deduction. Who do I need to call? That's what I want to know.
So some things we really like, because we're conservative, so
Right.
we like the fact that you should lower the corporate tax, which is supposedly the highest in the world.
Repatriate the
right?
money,
That's
get
right.
things going.
All those things.
They start
But-
claiming earnings too when they do that.
It looks like they're going to chop a lot that we do like too, though.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to go.
I heard the border tax is going away now, although you don't know what to believe.
So required minimum distribution. This does affect people. Let's say you pass away and pass it down to your heirs, children, grandchildren, whatever. They also have to take RMDs. if you were that 70
Different
years old.
table.
That's right. So here's 10 things everybody needs to know about RMDs, or required minimum distributions. All right. Remember, you got to take them by 70.5. All right. You have to take them from all retirement accounts.
Well,
IRAs, SEP IRAs, simple IRAs, 403Bs, 457. The only difference is if you're still working, you don't have to take the work-related ones.
and just for clarity's sake,
RMDs out of work-related ones.
I know what you meant, but it may have been
Sure.
You have to take them to satisfy all of your accounts, but you don't have to take them from all of your accounts. You can
That's right.
take them all from one account to satisfy all of your accounts.
Some people
If
don't
that
realize
makes sense.
it's in between 3 and 4%, depending on how the age difference between you and your spouse and all that stuff. That's when your first ones, and they go up every year.
Yep.
So that's why we tell people, think about it. Sometimes, since they're going to force an income stream, a lot of people always think they're going to die. If they die at 95, they're going to have a huge IRA. Probably not. The government's going to increase the amount you have to spend every single year until you die. Their goal, which they're not very good at reaching this goal, but their goal is to have that thing completely depleted, which means you pay tax on the whole thing and you die the next day.
Yep.
That would be a perfect plan for the government. And so they're going to increase. So dying with a large IRA is very, very difficult. So if that's the case, that's what we do when we do retirement income planning. We say, if that's the case, you got this $1 million that's going to go away. They're going to make you spend it down. Why don't we maximize the income on that?
Absolutely.
All right. And even if the RMD is completely depleted to nothing, I still get this income till me and my spouse pass away.
And keep in mind what we do for our clients and potential clients. We're not trying to handcuff you and restrict you in something. If you both die prematurely, or even if you die at 90-something and you still have a lot of money, that still passes
goes
to
to
your
your heirs.
heirs.
Yeah.
Or if you want to stop it and do something else. So it's not something that's really restrictive and confining like you may have been falsely told by the
yeah.
competitors.
Yeah. That's a big thing. You're just trying to, make an account better.
That's it.
Let's make it more efficient. Remember, it's a forced income stream. It was designed to be an income stream. It was not designed to have lump sum and buy a house with it. You can if you're going to pay 50% taxes.
Yeah, if you want to use
Right.
60-cent dollars.
Right. But it was designed for an income stream. So if that's the case, why don't we make a really big income stream and make it go on even past the money if the RMDs reduce it to nothing? That makes sense in most cases. If you got longevity in your family, especially. If you know nobody's ever lived past 55 and you're 54, well, maybe you just roll the dice on that one.
And it may or may not make sense converting a regular IRA or 401k to a Roth. But
And we'll
if
show
you already, and we can give you the straight skinny on that, but if you already have a Roth and you use that to create the income stream, think about it. When you exhaust the funds, you still get tax-free income because it was a Roth forever, and your spouse too. I mean, there's some neat things we can do, and we always do what's best for the clients based on what you need.
All right. Remember, on Roth IRAs, you don't have any RMDs. You do not have to take RMDs.
That's right.
But any of the other ones you have to, unless you're still working and you have a 401k at work. Only that 401k will not have RMDs. All of your IRAs outside, all of those other accounts will still have RMDs.
But what happens if I die with a Roth IRA?
If you die with a Roth IRA, as long as you held it 5 years and you're 59 and a half, your heirs won't have any taxes either.
There you go.
But if you did not, they will.
There are exceptions. That's right. There are rules.
All right. When you have to take it is April 1st, the year after you turn 70 and a half. So if you turn 70 and a half in January of 2017, it's actually April of 2018 that you'll have to take RMDs. Be careful with this, folks, because we're taking required minimum distributions. If you do take it out in April, you will have another one due in December. So that year, some people go ahead and take it the year they turn 70 and a half, so they won't have a double in 1 year.
And be attentive, because if you miss the window on it, the penalty is 50%.
That's right. It's 50.
That's right.
So if you were supposed to take out 20 grand,
Yeah.
there's a $10,000 penalty for you.
Ouch. And they need the money.
Right. And I have people all the time, no, I'm still working. That's 401k, not your IRA.
That's right.
That's also one of the reasons, if you're still working past 70, it might be okay to keep some money in a 401k instead of rolling it over. More times than not, rolling it over to an IRA is going to give you a lot more choices, a lot more benefits to that. But situations like that, it is better to keep it in the 401k.
And again, we do this all day, every day. It's easy for us. If you want to bring the stuff in, let us sort through it for you. Right. We do it all the time and kind of structure it and kind of help you down the road.
Keeping RMDs, keeping 401ks if you're going to retire young or old is pretty good. Young because you can take money out at 55 instead of 59 and a half. Old because you don't have to take RMDs. We'll have more of that when we return from the break. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any financial questions or like to take advantage of any of our services. 972-715-2424. Again, 972-715-2424. Or you can always go to our website, ilovemyretirement.com.
Welcome back to the Common Sense Investing Show, hosted by the kings of common sense, Victor McClure and Guy Allard.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about required minimum distribution, or RMDs, before the break. Remember, you've got to take them out of all retirement accounts when you turn 70 and a half. It's actually April 1st, the year after you turn 70 and a half.
You have to take them for all of your accounts.
That's right. There's a table from the IRS called the Joint Survivor Table. If your wife is or husband, whoever, your spouse is the sole beneficiary, and they're more than 10 years younger than you, then you use the Joint Survivor, Last Survivor.
Sound familiar?
If they are within 10 years, use the Uniform Table, Lifetime Table. It'll tell you how much you have to take out. What they're doing is accounting for life, so if your spouse is 10 years younger, your actual RMD will be lower than it would normally be because they're trying to take it off of a joint life expectancy. If you're more than 10 years, though, they won't give you it. They're only giving you 10 years worth.
Hey, what if you're 20?
Yeah, I know. Doesn't give you any benefit. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. You have to do separate calculations for each account, but you can take it out of one account. The problem is they all have to be IRAs. So let's say you have an IRA here, 403B here, 401k here. They all have separate calculations, and you have to take separate RMDs. But if you have multiple IRAs, you can actually calculate each one and take it out of one of the IRAs. That's a common mistake we've seen over the last 30 years, is somebody taking an RMD, they're looking at their whole thing, and they say, well, I took this out of a 401k, that counts. 401k is its own RMD. Even if you retired, still have it in a 401k, it has its own RMD. It's separate than your IRA.
And we talked about it a little bit in the last segment. This is something we do all the time, every day. We'd love to help you sort through it. If you have a 403B, should you self-direct it into an IRA? If you have a 401k, there's pluses and minuses to both. We deal with that, again, all the time. It's easy for us, and we'd be happy to show you the ramifications for staying in that vehicle or getting it to an IRA and see what works best for you.
That's right. Now, required minimum distribution means minimum. You can take out more and satisfy your RMD. The mistake I've seen over the last 30 years also, people took out a lot extra and thought it counted for the next year.
No, you can't pay it forward.
That's right. It does not. You can take out $100,000. You're still going to have that same $5,000 or $6,000 RMD next year.
And if you need the money, that's one thing. But a big thing with me, if you're going to take out more, would be where your tax bracket is. Is it going to bump you up? Are you going to pay more in taxes or not?
Somebody asked me this before. Is there a way to waive the penalty? There actually is. But you got to get the IRS to agree that not just because you forgot, there's a specific reason why you couldn't take the money out. It's got to have a letter of explanation, a form 5329, and boy, your explanation better be really good.
Oh, I imagine.
Because I don't remember this is if they say no to you, they get a 50% penalty. If they say yes, it's like the judge or whatever has a financial incentive to convict you. That's what it is, though. It is what it is. The IRS has nobody oversees them, is it? I know they're supposed to.
Can we fix that with a flat tax or something?
Oh. And your RMDs, we're just talking about everything about RMDs. RMDs are regular income tax rate, unless it's a Roth. It is not. Now, remember, everybody, I've heard this so many times. A Roth is better. Well, in theory, tax-free does sound better than taxable. I get that.
It's like tax-free bonds.
But if you're in a higher tax bracket when you're working versus a lower tax bracket when you're retired, which 90% of us are, it does not make more sense. It is worse. You should always do the regular IRAs, regular 401ks instead. I know you're protecting against a tax increase, but how many people do you think retire, the check goes away, and they somehow are paying more taxes in retirement?
Yep.
Very few. Now, the wealthy,
it happens.
Yeah, very wealthy people, they know they're in the top tax bracket now. They will die in the top tax bracket. Absolutely. Roth is a great idea because you are protecting yourself against future tax increases.
And our clients that are in that position usually have 7-figure IRAs.
Right. I have people all the time that they make $100,000 a year. They've only got income stream of $40,000 a year coming in when retirement, and they convert the whole thing to a Roth, like $1 million IRA, pay $400,000 in taxes, and they think they've done a great job. They've screwed themselves, really. You got to be really, really careful. You cannot. Math is math. A salesman might give you a sales pitch, may mislead you, or may even send you another direction without properly disclaiming. Math doesn't lie. And I'll show you the math, why a regular IRA for most individuals is better than a Roth. Now, if you can do both, absolutely. Nothing wrong with doing both. If you can. You can't make, I think it's $200,000 a year, something like that. If you make over, you can't do it, either one. And also remember, I find this all the time. This is a different topic, but I don't know how many people that I see max out 401ks and do IRA contributions, and they take it off their taxes.
Yeah.
That is illegal. If you make, and they go, my accountant said to do it. I go, well, your accountant's an idiot.
I had a question.
What did he tell you?
I had a question earlier this week. Somebody was not contributing to a 401k and wanted to contribute into one of our fixed annuities. And I said, no, you got to do the IRA.
Right.
Well, why? Well, a simple reason is when you invest into your 401k or your IRA, you're using 100 cent dollars. If you do it out of there, you got to pay your taxes, then take the money, and you're using 80 cent dollars at best. So that simple reason.
Right. If you make, I think it's 60-something thousand. I can't remember the number. There's an IRS limit. If your family makes more than this, you cannot do both.
Right.
Yet I see it all the time. Maybe people making $200,000 a year that do max out 401k and do an IRA. Now you could do an IRA contribution. It's non-deductible. It's not going to come off your taxes, but that kind of defeats the purpose.
And there's a way to use a Roth even up to $160,000, but we can share that with folks as they come in.
Right. And remember, we're going to move here in the middle of next month.
Yay!
Everybody's welcome to come see us. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any financial questions, like to take advantage of our no-cost, no-obligation written retirement plan and Social Security optimizing, or you just have a financial question. Our number is 972-715-2424. Again, 972-715-2424, or go to ilovemyretirement.com. I'm Victor McClure for Guy Allert. We always appreciate your time.
The preceding show was paid for by the Dillon Gage Wealth Management Companies and Victor McClure, and is for informational purposes only and not a solicitation or representation of any particular investment product or service. Any views and opinions do not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult with your appropriate professionals before making any investment or savings decisions. Always consider your risk tolerance, time horizon, and objectives to make any financial decisions. There is never any guarantee of future success or performance.
The preceding was a paid commercial program paid for by the Dillon Gage Wealth Management Companies and does not reflect the opinions or advice of KRLD or CBS Radio.